What up, y'all? Sir Cash here, back with another review. This time I'm reviewing my second car. This is a 2008 Infiniti G37S. It's a 6-speed, which is the best part about this car. And I've actually owned this car since May of 2020. Now, I actually didn't buy this car here in Oklahoma. I had to search for this vehicle because to find a 6-speed Infiniti G37 is actually quite hard in the Midwest. When I was searching for it, two locations came up: Arizona, Tennessee. Tennessee's look better, so I flew out to Tennessee and I actually got this car. Now, when I purchased this car, it was completely stock. It didn't look like this. I had to tint the windows, and I'll just go through my parts list real quick. Tinted the windows, lowered the car on BC Racing coilovers, two K&N drop-in air intakes, Megan strut bar, my Sprint V3 booster, Beluga axle back exhaust, and I believe that's it. I had an amp installed and I have a sub in the trunk. So I've owned this car long enough. The date of this video is going to be October the 1st. So I've had plenty of time to drive this car, and I will actually give you my honest take on it. If you want like the motor specs or, you know, brake specs, I'm really not going to go into that like that. If you know anything about these cars, you know it's the 3.7. The Sport Edition is going to give you bigger wheels, bigger brakes, and it's supposed to have a more tuned suspension, but because I took that suspension off the car, I'm going to just kind of like X that out. Now, I'll go ahead and walk around the car while I'm talking. Now, to give you my full reasoning for buying this car is because I actually miss driving a 6-speed. Last time I had any manual transmission, it was a 1995 Acura Integra GSR, and that was back in 2011. So I just really miss actually shifting gears, and so that's why I bought this car. And when I don't have my kids, I can actually have something just for me, and that's kind of what this car is. This car is just for me. Obviously, you know about my Lexus in my other video, or my other videos. You know, my channel is really based around that car and other reviews. But you know, when it comes to just for me to kind of fly underneath the radar, because I will say, whenever you have, and this is a little asterisk, whenever you have a car that stands out, it's cool, but then at the same time, you kind of don't want to always stand out. At least for me, you know, I'm 35 years old. I don't always want everybody to know where I'm at. You know, we have this Facebook group here in town that's like car spotting, and you know, if you get spotted, it's pretty cool. You know, you see your car up there, and you know, a lot of people like it, but then sometimes you're kind of getting spotted all the time, like, hey, I saw this guy here, I saw this guy here. So this car is a fly underneath the radar car. Nobody's really going to be looking for me in this car, and I kind of like it when I just don't want to go to a car show, or if I really don't feel like driving an automatic, I hop in this car. Now back to what I was saying originally. So my honest take on this car is, it is an upgraded Maxima, in my opinion. Yeah, it's rear-wheel drive. Yeah, it's 6-speed. Yeah, it has the 3.7, but it does feel very Nissan Maxima-ish, and I'll tell you why. When you get into the car and you start looking at the actual just in depth of it, this is the worst part about this car. These seats are extremely uncomfortable. They're heated, they're not cooled. These just have no give whatsoever. The Maxima part, I would say, is just the lack of finish on this. This feels, it flakes off. And yes, this car is a 2008. I'm not expecting it to be brand new. Just little pieces like that, just the flaking off of it, you know, just kind of gives it like, it doesn't feel premium like Infiniti has its own brand. It feels like they just borrowed some parts from Nissan with this car. So when I got this car, I got it at 101,000 miles. I paid $8,000 for it, and right now it's about 108,000 miles on it. And I've driven this car multiple times. Actually, before I even get out of that, me being 6 foot, about 250 pounds, the worst part about this car, like I mentioned earlier, is the seats. If you have any type of back pain whatsoever, if you know, kind of middle-aged guy, and you go on long road trips with this car, if you're of the heavier size, that's going to be the most uncomfortable. This seat There's just this side and that, and yeah, you have some seat options to where you can, you can push this in and they'll probably help out a little bit, and then you can work the seats a little bit more to kind of press them in and out. Even the sides have options for them to be more bolstered. So those are your two options when it comes to that. Audio is going to be really good in this car. It's going to have the Bose system, and it actually thumps really hard. It actually has a better stock for stock sound system than my Lexus. It has phone connectivity to where you can talk through your phone, but you can't stream music, and I think that's one of the wackest parts about the car. I have to go old school, and I'm filming this on a Galaxy Note 9, and my phone still has an AV jack, and then I have to essentially go old school and have it wired in through the aux to play music. Pretty crappy. I don't understand the mechanics of that. How do you have a phone that can connect to where you can talk through the car, but you can't stream music? It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. As far as the body on the car is pretty straight. It does have that. I've seen these on other Infinitis. For some reason, this part right here always keeps popping out. I've seen it on other cars. I might go to a body shop and get that fixed. Such an eyesore because I notice it. A lot of people are like, oh, that's a clean car, but I always notice like little things like that. It does look good with the factory wheels. I've actually had some people offer, if I wanted to sell them, would I sell my wheels to them? I actually like it. The wheels that I am looking at are some other 7Ks. If I do get them, you'll definitely be the first to know because I will make a video on that. It's a great car. The heated seats work very well, especially on cool days. And you ever be up at night and you can't sleep and you just go for a drive, drop the windows, and it might be chilly outside, but you throw on them heated seats and open up the sunroof and just go for a drive. This is that car. This is that I want to go for a drive car. Granted, can you beat a lot of vehicles on the road in this car? Yes, you can. This car is actually really, really quick, and it surprises a lot of people on how fast this car is. Now, you're not going to be going out there, chasing down scat packs and running with the Corvettes and stuff like that. But for a car that has 330 horsepower, it's definitely going to get to moving. Now, I will say that if you come across if you're in a G37 and you see somebody in a G37 sedan, it's an automatic, and you think, oh man, this is gonna be an easy race, I'll pull him because I have a stick shift. No sir. For some reason, when it comes to the Infiniti G37s, the automatic is quicker than the manual transmission, and actually the sedans are actually lighter than the coupes. I think it's about a couple 100 pounds, but you can always research that. But I have raced a sedan, and we were basically almost stock for stock, and he pulled me quite well, so I'm not gonna lie. But I have I've had little, I wouldn't say races, but I've had little runs with other cars. This car beats G35s and 350Zs all day, unless they're boosted. This car has great potential, but some of the drawbacks is that I notice it does burn some oil. So if you do get one of these cars, I'll tell you what to look out for. First of all, buy a G37 as stock as possible. You don't want anything that's pre-modified. And if you do buy modified, like if I ever sell my car, I will definitely tell whoever buys my car, this is exactly what it was done, and I will provide receipts. Also, one other little mod that I did was a magnetic oil drain plug. Whenever I changed the oil, and then I replaced all the spark plugs. I cleaned the mass airflow sensor and the throttle body. I did all that at the same time. So when you look for this car, make sure it's not clapped out. Go underneath the car and check the rear differential bushing. It is something that is prone to go out. So anything over 80,000 miles, I would just go ahead and check that bushing. Mine was out. It's one thing that I have not gotten done yet. It's on my to-do list. I just really haven't had the time, and plus I'm not really dogging my car out, so I'm not necessarily worried about it, but it's still something that's on my list of things to get done. And if you can find one with a pretty straight body, that's always a plus. You don't want some car that used to be some kid's drifter and stuff like that, because I notice a lot of younger people seem to get these cars pretty quickly because they're not terribly expensive. Somebody with maybe $10,000 can find a very nice Infiniti and clap it out and then try to sell it before they blow the motor. People have been known to race these cars very hard and blow the motor because of just how much oil the car can possibly burn. So it's just basic maintenance, and I always put maintenance above everything else. How is the car, like check the inside tires. That's one thing this car will eat up. Your rear tires will be eaten up pretty well, even at stock height. Obviously I'm lowered, so they're gonna, it has a more of an aggressive camber to it, but the stock camber does eat up rear tires. So it's just little things like that to check. So here are my personal recommendations when you're looking for this vehicle. So first, make sure it hasn't been modified at all, and if it has been modified, ask who modified it and can you provide an actual parts list for it. Every part that was put on this car was completely bought brand new. There's nothing on this car that was used from somewhere else. Number 2, make sure to check your rear differential bushing. Number 3, check the oil. Make sure it's not burning anything. Let the car sit. Make sure it's not getting hot. And number 4, just listen for turn on the AC and just listen to the motor. Make sure that it's straight. I think these cars are great when they're well maintained, but if they're not maintenance, people try to get out of them, or they've had 3 or 4 motor swaps. I've seen them on Craigslist all the time. These people get these cars, they smash them up, and then they drop another motor in it and they try to get rid of it. It's almost worse than the Subaru game. Not throwing no shade out there to the Subaru guys, but you're not finding a Subaru with the original motor. Every Subaru, 3rd motor, Cobb tuned, ready to sell. And ironically, I was thinking about getting a Subaru before this car. Before I go, I do want to touch on the rear seat and the trunk space. So rear seat is pretty much nothing back there. I have to keep my seat all the way back just for me to fit comfortably. This rear cup holder is a joke. That doesn't do anything. I mean, small kids can fit back there, but you really don't want anybody in the back of the car, because if somebody's sitting behind you and you have to scoot your seat up, if you're taller than 5'10", it's going to be completely uncomfortable. Trunk space, you would think that it would have pretty decent sized trunk space. It does not. I just got a sub back here and an amp, and like I said, it's just a regular car, nothing too special about it. The rear seats do fold down. I will say that is a added extra, but besides from that, you're not getting much space. This is really a car for one person and another. Just think of this car as a coupe, which is basically you and a passenger. It's like the 350 or the 370Z, except you get the illusion of back seats. I mean, they're there, but they're really not useful. They're really grocery seats. I will be completely honest. You're not putting your friends. If you're like in high school or in college and you're gonna get a car and like, oh, I'm gonna have my friends with me, you don't want them in this car. I tell you that much, because it will be uncomfortable for you and more than likely uncomfortable for them. So, but anyways, that's my 2 cents on this car. Is it worth it? Yes, it is. Is it even worth it more if you can find a stock? Absolutely. Is it worth it if it's been dogged out or raced? Not at all. Stay away from this car if it has been modified by, I would say, somebody who did not know what they were doing, or somebody who just feel like they're playing Need for Speed on the streets, because these cars can get sideways, they can do burnouts, they can, they can drift. They have all those they have all those classic adages when it comes to the car game that people want, but they also can break. I mean, this car is not like bulletproof. I wouldn't say this car is as bulletproof as my Lexus. So that's one thing that I would just kind of look out. But besides from that, I do feel like it's a great car, and I am happy that I got it. I was thinking about selling it, but for now, it's just something that I feel like as time goes on, I feel like this car would kind of be more looked at as a great option in the future, and maybe it might even increase in value. You never know. Maybe I'm being a little bit too optimistic. But anyways, guys, tell me what you think. Is the G37 a good car? If you have one, let me know. What have you done to yours? Are you going to keep yours, or are you going to sell yours? Let me know in the comments, guys. I got some more stuff coming down the pipeline, so thanks for tuning in to this channel and always sticking out there with me. All right, peace.